I have a copy of the full report, 234 pages of a devastating analysis of what was going on at this trust for more than 2 decades. And within this report, there are testimonies from staff members who talk about how they felt that they should always avoid doing caesareans, how the trust was proud of its low rate of caesarean sections. And indeed, Donna Ockenden, in some other comments that she's given on publication of this report, has said that in some cases where a caesarean wasn't given, if the trust had indeed intervened, had indeed given a mother a caesarean section, babies could have lived. So this is one of the causes of some of these deaths at the trust. But there were multiple failings, as Donna Ockenden has been outlining. This was a trust that failed over many years to learn from mistakes. They failed to properly risk assess mothers. They failed to listen to the concerns of mothers. And then when babies died, they would blame the mothers for their own babies' deaths. Donna Ockenden said that this failure in care carried on for a prolonged period of time. She talked about staff having told her that they felt that they could not speak up within the trust, that they tried to raise concerns, but that they were simply unable to. Staff who would cry on shift because of what was going on in this trust. But we know from her report that initially, when she was asked to investigate back in 2017, there were 23 cases highlighted as being of concern. Now, over the years, since she's been investigating, so many families contacted her that, in fact, the testimonies of 1,486 families went into this report. And she's concluded from the cases that she looked at, 210 deaths could have been avoided. That includes 201 deaths of babies, 131 stillbirths could have been avoided, 70 neonatal deaths could have been avoided, and also the deaths of 9 mothers could have been avoided if only better care had been provided at this trust. The report also details how 94 babies are now living with long-term brain damage or cerebral palsy as a result of the failures in care at this trust. And Donna Ockenden said that her report primarily looks at the period between the year 2000 and 2019, but she said she's deeply concerned that her team are still being contacted by families who are receiving poor care now. Babies still dying up until very recently at this trust. This is not something that is in the past. She said she's concerned about what is still going on, and she has set out a whole series of things that both this trust and maternity units right across the country need to do to improve safety. It includes better monitoring of babies. It includes more ward rounds by doctors. It includes listening when things go wrong, learning when things go wrong. Now, we have had some reaction to this report from the Health Secretary, Sajid Javid, and I'll read you his response now. He says, Donna Ockenden's report paints a tragic and harrowing picture of repeated failures in care over 2 decades, and I am deeply sorry to all the families who've suffered so greatly. Since the initial report was published in 2020, we've taken steps to invest in maternity services and grow the workforce, and we'll make the changes that are needed so that no families have to go through this pain again. I would like to thank Donna Ockenden and her whole team for their work throughout this long and distressing inquiry, as well as all the families who came forward to tell their stories. Donna Ockenden was at pains to thank those families. It is only due to them really having to shout to be heard that we know about what was going on at this trust, because over many years there were attempts made within the trust to silence those families, but they refused to believe that their babies had to die. And now we know the true extent of what was going on at this trust.